Hey everyone, welcome back to Speak Now Pro Wrestling episode 6 with myself, Denise Salcedo. It is the November 4th edition of my show. This is going to be a super fun show. Tonight I will be discussing NXT, AEW Dynamite, and obviously sharing my Full Gear prediction. So we have a lot in store for you here today. And I do want to announce something very exciting. So for those of you who have been watching my show each and every single week and you're like, oh my God, I really want to know what Denise is going to think about AEW Full Gear and all of that. Good news. I will be going live this Saturday directly after AEW Full Gear on F4W's Twitch channel. So I will be doing my first ever Twitch live stream talking about AEW Full Gear. So I'm really excited. I've never done Twitch before, so it's going to be something totally new. So I hope that those of you who watch my show each and every single week will make sure to tune in again Saturday on the F4W Twitch channel directly after AEW Full Gear. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Also, a friendly reminder that this is a very interactive stream. I will be reading all of your comments in the chat box. However, if you have a question or a comment that you're like, I need Denise to read this on the air, I need her to see this, the best way to get that read on the stream is by sending it in the form of a super chat. Also, F4W is kind enough to let me keep 100% of the proceeds from my super chat after YouTube takes a cut. So please make sure to send those in as they are very much appreciated. But we have so much to get into here today. And I'm also seeing so many new faces here today. A lot of people that are very excited to catch the stream live for the first time. Bobby AJ says, here are my predictions for AEW Full Gear. We will get to that. That's going to be our third segment of today's show. So once we get into that, make sure you guys go ahead and do that. And Nails and New York says, so excited to finally make it live. Yes, I know a lot of people watch the show, whether it is in the audio format or they watch the replay. So it is exciting when people come on and watch the actual live stream. Josiah McDonald says, Dynamite was a fantastic show. I think so too. However, I do got to say, I think NXT knocked it out of the park this week again. But before we get into that, let's start off with NXT. All right, everyone. Usually I wrap up the show with NXT, but I think this time I'm going to kick it off with NXT, then go into AEW Dynamite, and then do the Full Gear prediction. So here we go. Let's start off with NXT. So last week they held their Halloween Havoc show, which was their best show that they have done in a very, very long time. So I was a little bit worried that they weren't going to keep the momentum that they had last week for this week's NXT show. And I got to say, they had a lot of really good wrestling. They had some pretty good segments, some really great segments actually on tonight's show I will say that even though it wasn't as good as Halloween Havoc, this show was a pretty solid NXT showcase. We kicked off the night with Dakota Kai versus Ember Moon. This was an awesome showcase for Ember Moon. She looked fantastic. She came across looking strong, impressive, and she really stood out. This was a good opening match. I thought that she worked really well with Dakota Kai. I loved how they started off the match doing a lot of submissions at the top of this match. And I kind of forgot how good Ember Moon really is. So I kind of feel we got a little bit of everything throughout this match. You know, we had some mat work, we had some fast-paced stuff, a little bit of everything. And I do gotta say that I think they have something really good with Ember Moon. And the fact that she's really standing out to me when there are so many incredible women on this roster says a lot. And I'm just really hoping that Ember Moon just goes straight to the moon. Really, really good start to the match. And even though Dakota Kai won, I don't think it necessarily took anything away from Ember Moon because Dakota Kai really needed this win. And I got to say, it was probably the best opener of the night, especially when you compare both of the shows. Bobby AJ, thank you so much for sending in a super chat. Bobby AJ says, here is $5 for not just you, but for all of us. We deserve to take a break from all this shit show called the elections. Sorry for my profanity. You know, Bobby AJ, it took me a second to what I was debating that. I was like, should I say the curse word or should I not say the curse word? So you made me curse on today's stream, but you know what? It's well deserved because yes, this indeed has been a shit show. So I hope that for those of you who are tuning in, this is a little bit of an escape for you. And I don't normally curse. So please, I am family friendly, everybody. All right, guys. What did you guys think of Ember Moon versus Dakota Kai? Wrestling Fandom has our first comment in here of the night pertaining to the match. He says, Ember versus Dakota was great. I agree. In fact, it was my favorite women's wrestling match of the evening out of both shows. And this was a reminder that NXT has been consistently bringing out such great women's wrestling that I don't think anybody is touching them when it comes to women's wrestling. For a long time, I was thinking like, okay, maybe it's Impact Wrestling. Impact Wrestling has been doing such a great job with their women, but I think I have to say that right now, NXT has a stronger women's division and their matches have been consistently great. Not just sporadically, no, consistently. And this was definitely one of them. And Bobby AJ says, yay, I got Denise to curse. You are welcome. Big Chungus says, how is a go home show not as great as a regular show? Yeah, so we're going to get into AEW later on, but I do have some thoughts about that. I didn't think AEW was that great tonight, but I will get into more details about that later on. Josiah McDonald sends us another super chat. Thank you so much, Josiah. He says, $5 from Canada. Given the last few days have been nuts for my American friends. It has been nuts. And thank you so much for sending in some Canadian love on here. Again, it is very much appreciated. Josiah McDonald, thank you very much. All right, guys, the overall great start for NXT. We went on to watch another really good match, and this was Kushida versus Cameron Grimes. So in terms of talent that NXT has, Kushida is honestly probably the best thing that they have right now. Consistently bringing out good matches no matter who his opponent is. I am constantly amazed each and every single time he comes out to the ring and he just does cool stuff, man. Like the speed in which he works with, the way that he does everything so smoothly. It is so much fun to watch Kushida work that Cameron Grimes, and I'm already a Cameron Grimes fan, so this match was honestly really good for me, in my opinion. I know a lot of people thought that the finish was a little bit weird to this match. How did you guys feel about this finish? Kushida did win via submission. I personally didn't think it was that weird, but I know I saw a few people on Twitter saying that, so go ahead and let me know what you guys thought of this. But honestly, Kushida, man, honestly, NXT is really, really lucky to have him on their roster because, so good. Wrestling Fandom says, does Grimes have PTSD? Sad face. He kept calling the ref zombie. Yeah, it kind of seems like that's where they're going with this, because even like backstage when he had his interview segment, he was like scared of the referee and all of that. So I think that's definitely probably what they're trying to get by with that. And we have another comment. This is from RG040276 who says, Kushida is dope. Hell yeah, honestly. And Bobby AJ says, if I'm being honest, I don't watch NXT anymore. I just miss the old way NXT was. 1 hour show with 3 good matches and excellent promo segments. Now it just seems everything they do is to pop a rating. See, Bobby, I would say that maybe the last several months haven't always been consistently great NXT shows. And for a while, there was a dip in the way that there wasn't really anything interesting happening on the show, where it was just like, okay, we're getting good matches, that's fine. But there wasn't really much of anything else. No substance really added to what we were seeing on the shows. However, as of late, I feel we have been seeing a shift of that. You know, obviously NXT was hurt with all of the injuries that were happening. They had more of a slim roster. But as of late, I feel like they're starting to pick that back up. Like everything that they're doing right now with Pat McAfee and all of that has been sort of getting more, bringing more, I wouldn't say maybe bringing more eyeballs, but it's definitely capturing my attention. And there wasn't anything prior on the show that I think was really engaging to me. And this is one of the things that they're doing right now that I think is really working, at least in my personal opinion. So I will say that, again, last week's show was really great, and this show kept up the momentum of that. So if you haven't given NXT a chance just yet, definitely go ahead and do so. And we have a comment from Max Deinenberg, who says, I love Dakota Kai, so it was nice to see her win, but her and Gonzalez still seem in no man's land. I love what they're doing with Raquel Gonzalez. I thought that her match last week with Rhea Ripley was absolutely phenomenal. So I will have to say that I love what they're doing with that. After that, we had Killian Dane and Drake Maverick versus Everrise. This was just there for me. Nothing really interesting came out of this other than we're probably going to get another match. So I'm not really all that hyped in about this match, excuse me. But after this is what I considered probably the best portion of NXT and the highlight and kind of the thing that is really keeping me interested right now in NXT and what they're doing. I think it's probably one of the best storylines they have going right now. And I'm really liking the direction that we are sending this into. But before I get started on that, thank you so much to Mark in Mad City for sending in a super chat just because. Oh, that is awesome. You are great. Thank you so much. By the way, if you're not able to send a super chat, but you are in this stream, I do want to let you know that it's still very greatly appreciated. I'm so thankful for everybody that tunes into the stream, and I'm thankful for anybody who sends in a super chat as well. Okay. So the thing that I'm really liking the most, and I want to get all of your guys' opinions on this because I think some people really love this and some people might not be feeling it, but I am feeling it. And this is the new group, new stable that we're seeing with Pat McAfee, Pete Dunne, Oney Lorcan, and Danny Burch. This was great, guys. Everything that they did in this segment, top to bottom, was fantastic. So Pat McAfee, I mean, we already know he's doing such great mic work. He's one of those guys that I think is very, very top notch when it comes to mic skills. And the reason for that is that his personality is definitely translating into wrestling. We've seen so many people, maybe like outsiders, other celebrities that come into wrestling, but their personality doesn't always work or go over with the crowd. One of those people was definitely Gronk. Gronk, as we all know, is one of the most charismatic guys in football. But when he came into wrestling, it didn't necessarily work very well for him. I don't know, maybe it was the fact that he was scripted. You know, some people are better off scripted. Some people just can't do the scripted thing, but it definitely fell short of expectations. And we're definitely not seeing that with Pat McAfee. With Pat McAfee, we're seeing something exciting. Like it feels like he belongs every time he's, has the mic and he's doing something. I love the fact that they basically, they start talking about the Undisputed Era and how they have this banner and they're gonna hang it up to honor the Undisputed Era and all of this. But then Pat McAfee throws in like this hilarious line. He starts adding that, no, this is a democracy and that he's going to have his team vote. And essentially they end up burning it. And I thought this was hilarious. It made me laugh so loud that he kind of brought this up because like we all said, the elections have been driving us nuts. And so the fact that he kind of made a light joke about it, I thought was very cool to have in this segment. But I love the fact that they also went back and explained why Pete Dunne turned his back on Kyle O'Reilly. And that was because Roderick Strong betrayed Pete Dunne to join the Undisputed Era. So to have all of this sort of tied up felt really, really good. And I just love where they're going with this. And I'm so happy that they also didn't have the Undisputed Era come out during this, because when you know that they will, when they do return, it will actually mean something. So this is honestly, if you're holding back on watching NXT, I think that this is a feud. This is a storyline that could definitely get you invested. And I do see this going into War Games. So we'll kind of go from there, but this is good stuff. Let's see what you guys are saying. Wrestling Fandom says the Kings of NXT stable is awesome. Pat McAfee rules. Killian Dane dropping blood outside was brutal. Josiah McDonald says McAfee is such a great talker and a heel. Yeah, he's like, I would say he's NXT's own, maybe totally different from Eddie Kingston. I think Eddie Kingston's still like way up here, and MJF is still way up there. But you know what? He's not falling short of that totem pole. He's one of those guys that is really, really doing a great job on the mic. And Matt says, Pete Dunne did seem done with NXT UK, so I like to see him as a heel which he hasn't been since the first UK tourney. D-Train Riot Maker says, Pat McAfee is a true heel, something wrestling truly misses true heels. Exactly. So Pat McAfee has that like unlikable personality, but in a good way. Like you just want to hate this guy, right? Like he's so cocky and arrogant, but it works. And I like that. And I think that's what D-Train is trying to say by he is a true heel. Exactly. And, Jeremy Delos Reyes says, I love when Pat calls out the IWC. Ha, ha, ha. Nathan Rodriguez says, Eddie is great. We will get into that. And Jonathan Vega says, do you think the Undisputed Era will ever break up? If so, do you think it will happen? Right now, I really want to see, obviously, and this is the direction that they're going in with this, is the Undisputed Era and Pat McAfee's new stable. So I do definitely see that going into War Games. That would be pretty awesome. And that is honestly the best thing that happened on NXT this weekend. After this, we had Shotzi Blackheart versus Toni Storm. So first off, I'm just going to start off by saying that this match was not as good as I thought it was going to be. I was expecting a little bit more. And the only reason for that is because I am a big fan of both Shotzi Blackheart and Toni Storm. At first, I thought, oh man, we're getting Toni Storm and Shotzi Blackheart already? Like, this feels so quick to me, right? Like, there was never really an actual build to this. I thought, okay, with two women that have such star power, two women that are so recognizable, that are very popular with the fans, I was expecting more of an actual build going into this match. However, the match did fall short of my expectations. There was a scary moment when Shotzi slipped from the ropes, and that's because she was straight up just moving so fast. But overall, this was okay. I didn't think this was the best women's match of the night. If anything, I thought that Ember Moon, Dakota Kai completely outshined this match. And in the end, Toni Storm did get the win after Candice LeRae caused a major distraction for Shotzi Blackheart. So Candice LeRae pops up on the screen and she tells Shotzi Blackheart that she found her tank. And after that, she ends up running the tank over, and it was kind of heartbreaking. I legit felt really bad for Shotzi Blackheart, and she sold the hell out of it. I mean, she was screaming. She was heartbroken during this. This was fun. I did like how this all ended, because Candice LeRae running over Shotzi Blackheart's tank made sense, Thanks, Candice LeRae, she missed out on her opportunity to win the bout, so she definitely had to take something away from Shotzi, something that actually meant something to her, and so it made a lot of sense for her to do this to Shotzi Blackheart, but decent stuff overall, maybe not my most favorite one. And let's see what you guys are saying here. All right. Abhiv Nav says, Pat McAfee is more famous now than during his NFL career. I'm not too familiar with his work in the NFL, so I'm just not going to comment on that one there. And D-Train Riot Maker says, Toni Storm is a goddamn star, to steal a quote from Denise. Yeah, exactly. And Nails and NY says Shotzi is amazing. And D-Train also says, Shotzi is a bit dangerous in the ring sometimes. She should be careful so she doesn't get seriously hurt. Yeah, unfortunately, there were a few botches from Shotzi's part in this match. I think she had a couple that I noticed. So I did notice that a bit. And Max Dannenberg says, Toni Storm is my favorite women's wrestler, but I do want to see her as a heel going forward. See, I think because I really like her, I see her as a great babyface. So I think I'm leaning more towards having her as a babyface still. And Delirious Army Barry Cool says, I love Shotzi. All right. Oh, thank you so much to Askash Kumar, who says, how are you doing, Denise? Sorry, I'm late today. No worries. Thank you so much for coming into this stream. All right, everybody. So after Shotzi versus Toni, we did have the main event, which was Ciampa versus Velveteen Dream. Ciampa looked fantastic in his gear. When he came out, I was like, why do I feel this is something that Triple H helped him design? To me, this gear was screaming Triple H, but I loved it, though. Good stuff. The actual match was not that great, though. Didn't really feel anything special. It was just kind of there. I think in terms of Velveteen Dream, whenever he's like without a crowd or with a limited crowd, you start to really see how limited Velveteen Dream is in the ring. So he doesn't really come off as, a star, maybe like he used to in the past when he would really feed off the crowd and their energy. And then as for Ciampa, this was really just a way for him to get a win, a quick win, TV match for him, just to kind of get him going in the direction that we want to see him in. Because as of late, it sort of feels like Tommaso Ciampa has been without a direction on NXT. He hasn't really been in any serious feud as of late. So I'm hoping that down the line, we do get to see him work with Finn Balor when Finn Balor returns, which is hopefully sooner rather than later, but we don't know as of now. But yeah, it kind of feels like right now this was just a whatever match, just a match for Ciampa to get a win in here. All righty. Let's move on, guys. So we are done talking about NXT. We are going to move on to our second segment of the day, which is AEW Dynamite, the go-home show for AEW Full Gear. And before we continue, I do want to remind you all that this is an interactive stream. I am reading all of your comments. However, if I missed your comment or you're like, I really want Denise to read this comment or question or whatever you may have, feel free to send in a super chat. Once again, F4W does allow me to keep 100% of the proceeds, which is just really awesome because it keeps me fed, and that's about it. It keeps me fed. All right, guys, let's kick it off. So AEW Dynamite, I gotta say, was not that great today. It was okay, but in terms of it being the go-home show for Full Gear, I do think that it was a little bit more of a miss than a hit, but I would go ahead and give you guys more reasons as to why I feel that way. So let's start off with the opening promo, which was Jericho, Inner Circle, MJF. They were all out there, and Jericho basically told MJF that he doesn't think he has what it takes to join the Inner Circle, that he doesn't have the killer instinct, and calls him soft. You don't call anybody soft these days. Soft is definitely an insult, and it hit great. You can tell MJF was pretty pissed about this, and everybody had that like moment because you're like, oh, he just called him soft. Like, how dare he? So that was a really good line in my opinion. After this, we went into the tag team match, which was the opening match, MJF and Wardlow versus Ortiz and Sammy Guevara. Overall, this was a good opener. I do think that NXT had a stronger opener for the night with the women's match. This match was, I feel like they were going a certain direction with it, but it didn't come off as good as maybe they might have expected. I thought there was a lot of, Sammy Guevara didn't look great in this match. He had a lot of missed dives. I saw a lot of missed opportunities in this match. So that didn't really come off that great in my opinion. Matt Hardy did end up throwing a chair at Sammy Guevara, so obviously they're gonna have their match at Full Gear. And at the end, MJF made Ortiz tap. MJF spears Jericho after this match while he's on commentary. So Jericho is doing commentary. MJF comes off, spears him, and this is essentially his revenge for calling him soft. Overall, this was fine. I didn't really think much about this, but what did you all think about this? Let's see what you are all saying. Max Zinenberg says, Sammy G is one of the most underrated guys, and I can't wait to see him fight Matt again. See, that's interesting because one of the things that we were talking about on this stream is that we weren't sure if this Matt Hardy, Sammy Guevara storyline should have continued, especially after, what happened to Matt Hardy and that concussion and just that terrible mistreatment on AEW's part and how they handled this. So I know a lot of people, when we were talking about this on the stream, kind of felt like they were totally over this Matt Hardy, Sammy Guevara feud. So you coming out here and saying that you're actually excited is pretty surprising to me because a lot of people weren't really feeling this way previously. So maybe they made you change your mind. I don't know. And the variety vendor says should have been Santana versus MJF. DJ Riot Maker says Dynamite was more like a sparkler today, nothing explosive. Cobra Kai says, is Sammy turning face? Question mark. A lot of flashy moves we haven't seen before. So we will get into that. That's going to be part of my predictions for later on in today's show. So, because I do have some Sammy Guevara predictions, but again, that will be afterwards. And Nails in New York says, there seemed to be a pop when MJF and Sammy stood face to face. Yeah. Tunel says, Sammy may have had a bit of ring rust, first match in 2 months. That might be it. Like I said, there were a few moments where he just didn't land a lot of the things that he was supposed to. And it was very, very noticeable. I don't know if maybe it was because he was moving really fast or what happened, but you can definitely see that disconnection during this match. And Mac Dennenberg says that he's just a big Sammy Guevara fan. I like Sammy, dude. Sammy's awesome. And he's such a nice person too. Really nice person. All right, let me move on. Stephen 5 says, D-Train, you're insane, bro. That Eddie and Mox promo was absolutely explosive, maybe promo of the year. Oh, I will get to that because that was awesome. So I do have to agree with you on that. So I think D-Train meant the whole show as a whole wasn't explosive, but I do agree with you, Steven, that this promo with Eddie Kingston and Moxley was explosive, but in terms of the actual show being explosive, not so much. Tuno also says it was a bit weird of a dynamic with both really being heels, but the inner circle were almost pure face. Mohammed Monim says, is it just me who feels like LAX doesn't feel anything special anymore, or do you feel the same, Denise? Mohammed, I don't know if you've been watching my shows in the past, but I have gone on several rants about LAX and the Lucha Brothers on a million of my streams all across the board because yes, they do not feel special anymore. I've said this a million times and I'm going to say it again. Their work on Impact was the best wrestling that I was seeing, the best tag team wrestling that I was seeing, the best wrestling that I was seeing. And I was completely amazed at the talent that they have. And I do not think that they are being showcased to their full capacity, to their full ability on AEW Dynamite. And that's just the truth. In terms of best tag teams in the world, it is definitely Santana and Ortiz and the Lucha Brothers. Those I would say are the best tag teams in my opinion. And when you have guys like that on your roster, they should be completely and 100%, 113% utilized. So I've said this a million times, but I am very passionate about this because I know what they can bring to the table and I know what they can do. And I know that they were having matches of the year, in my opinion, when they were in Impact Wrestling, and they are not having those matches on AEW Dynamite. And that's not to take away from anything that they're doing right now, but it just is different in terms of what we were seeing previously. And also, they are personally, Santana and Ortiz are personally my favorite tag team. So I am a little bit more biased, but I think it's justified because you can't find talent like that every single day. A lot of people try to do what the Lucha Brothers can do and what Santana and Ortiz can do, but they don't always necessarily get it down on point the way that these guys have. And so I will probably go on a million more rants about this, but as of right now, that's what I'll say. And Kevin Sosa says, we were watching the same match, ? I thought Sammy looked great. Dude, he was moving fast. That was good. But again, there were a lot of missed spots. If you go back and you watch, I think you will notice them. And Nails in NY says, Eddie does no wrong in my eyes. Max says, this pay-per-view seemed rushed. This pay-per-view seemed rushed with the build to at least half of the matches feel random. We will get into that. I will talk about that later on. And the Variety Vendor says, if only Conan gets signed to AEW and managed Proud and Powerful. Dude, Conan has like 1 zillion jobs, man. 1 zillion jobs. But yeah, and if you go on my YouTube channel, I have an interview with Conan, and Conan and I discussed the treatment of the Lucha Brothers and Santana and Ortiz on AEW very, very in depth. And obviously, Conan being the guy that discovered them, he goes into a lot more detail and gives you more information than I'm giving you right now. So make sure to check out that interview because he like really gives it to everybody like very straight. Like there's no BSing around in that interview whatsoever. And RG says, couldn't agree more, Denise, preach. And Muhammad says, just as you talked about Lucha Brothers, I think Penta is the best all-around wrestler in the entire sport, and AEW treats him the way he should be, ... iGame Averill City says Lucha Brothers are the best tag team on earth. They are truly gifted. Again, they can't be duplicated or replicated. And Matthew Ledesma says, Denise, I normally agree with you, but this episode was fantastic. Best go-home show they've had in a while. 4 out of 5 show. Matthew, again, you are allowed to have your own opinion. That is very much welcome here. By the way, for those of you who are new to my show, even if you disagree with me, come in, leave your comments. We will discuss it. We will talk it out. Stephen 5 says, I get it, Denise. They are incredible. I don't blame you. There's just a lot of mouths to feed in that stacked tag division. I agree that there is a lot of mouths to feed in that stacked tag division. But when I'm talking about the greatest tag teams in the world, there is no reason why they shouldn't be up here. If you have a roster and you have these big stars, big stars, are you going to ignore that? No, you should not ignore that. You should build that and make money out of it, all right? That's my opinion. All right, and Jeremy says, Conan keeps it 100. Yes, 100%. And T-Rab THC says, Santana and Ortiz are telling the fans to be patient with them in AEW and that their time will come. Exactly, and that's obviously what they can do as of right now. They're not going to go out and say, oh, well, we agree with you guys. No, because they're working for the company, so they're obviously not going to say that. But we don't work for the company. I don't work for the company, so I can say that. And I think Santana and Ortiz know that I'm big fans of them as well because I've already fangirled enough during our interview. So let's move on, guys. Where was I at with this? All right. After this, we had a Kenny Omega interview with Tony Schiavone, basically talking about the tournament and how he thought Wardlow was going to win, not Hangman Page, and says he is destined to be the next champion. After this, we move on to Miro versus Trent. Unfortunately, this was a nothing match, in my opinion. I don't think, and I just got to say this before I get started, just know that I am a Miro fan. We are Swiftie BFFs. If you have not seen my interview with Miro, you will not get it. But me and Miro are Taylor Swift fans, and we are BFFs on that end. But I will say this, we have not been seeing his full potential in AEW. I think that all of us, when we saw that he was released from WWE, we all thought, oh man, like, dang, WWE, like, how did you let him go? Like, that's a good one, and I agree, still a good one. But I don't think that we're seeing the full potential of Miro on AEW. And I get it. Patience, right? But first impressions mean a whole lot, okay? They mean a whole lot. And when you want to be built up as a star, you got to be built up as a star day one and keep that momentum going. All right. So like I said, I don't think we've been seeing the full potential there, which is unfortunate, but I have hope that we will see it. And after this, Miro did get a win, which was good. But again, this match was really nothing special either. So that's just pretty much that. Hodge says they can only push so many people with only one Rio show. Well, I can argue that, but I'm not going to get into that right now. I get it. They only have 2 hours, but I do think that it could be done a little bit differently. But again, I'm not like, all right, I'm moving on. Max says, I love Kip and I think he could be used better. Again, like Hodge says, there are a lot of people that, yeah, you're right. A lot of people that can be used a lot better. And all right. Okay, we have a strong opinion here. This is from T-Rap THC, who says the Miro storyline is pissing me off. Actually, I'm interested in seeing and understanding why it's making you angry. It's not making me angry. I just think that it's like not really nothing special, but it's not making me angry. But the fact that it is making other people angry is pretty interesting. And Josiah McDonald does note that the Omega interview was phenomenal. But we all know that Kenny Omega does great promos no matter what he's doing, whether it's a press conference, whether it's an interview, whether it's, you know, a promo, whatever it is, it's legit. Josiah also says, I'm a huge AEW fan and New Japan Pro Wrestling, but they can absolutely be using Santana Ortiz and the Lucha Brothers better. They still have a fantastic tag division, but that makes sense. Thank you so much, Josiah. Okay. And I'm going through your comments. All right. Variety Vendor says, people need to be patient with Miro. I'd love to see him feud with Cage over the FTW title. Dude, two powerhouses? Come on, bring it on. D-Train says, this is AEW's problems. They have a lot of talents, but they need to figure out how to do those things better. Miro came in with a lot of buzz, and since then, he hasn't done anything. Thank you, D-Train. Exactly. When you have somebody coming in with all of this buzz, you push it forward. You elevate it. You thrive in the fact that you got somebody with a lot of buzz. Yes, you push them to the moon. And again, you make money, you get them ratings, and you do it. RG says Miro has been a big disappointment. Yeah, see, I think some people have more patience than others. I don't think that I might be on the end of people that don't have that much patience. So that might just be me. Alrighty, guys. Oh, Gerald Andrew says, I'd rather see Pentagon and Phoenix as singles wrestlers. Oh, see, I love them as a tag team. I can't say that it wouldn't be bad seeing them as singles wrestlers, but there is a lot of money to be made with them as a tag team, I think. Alrighty. Let's move on, guys. Where are we at? All right, so we just finished talking about Miro versus Trent. All right, after this, we had another interview. This was Hangman Page with Jim Ross. This one, I thought it was a little weird how they started off with that audio, with the echoey audio, kind of threw me off a little bit. But this was just there for me. I don't think really, it kind of fell short for me. But this next segment did not fall short with me whatsoever. And this was Taz, Cage, and Ricky Starks. And this was probably one of the highlights of tonight's show, and maybe even an underrated highlight, because not a lot of people are talking about it. Based on what I'm seeing in the chat and based on what I'm seeing on Twitter, I'm not seeing very many people talk about this. So let's talk about this, because this was a very, it was short, but a lot was said. So Taz came out, obviously with Cage and Starks, and he brought a lot of excellent points. He basically says that Brian Cage is 10-1, his only loss being to Moxley in a controversial fashion. So he's asking, where is Brian Cage's title shot? Why doesn't he even have a match on the pay-per-view? If this guy is only 10-1, this makes perfect sense. Why doesn't he have a match? Why doesn't he have a title shot? So I loved this. Then he mentions that Starks has won 10 of his last matches and that he's not even ranked in the top 5. He also asks, where is his TNT title shot? He also says that the rankings are BS. And I have to agree with Taz on this one. He made some great, fantastic points. I'm not a fan of the rankings. I've never been a fan of the rankings. So I like that we are seeing somebody come out and say, this is how I feel about this, and this is why your system is not making sense, because we're here doing the numbers. And even Starks had a funny line about 1 + 1 = 2, and that's how the math works. So I loved this segment. I did think this would have been a perfect promo to debut the FTW title that at this point, nobody has really even been, it's really nothing right now. Like, it came out maybe 2 months too soon, okay? This would have been the perfect promo to introduce that FTW title with. It would have made a lot of sense, because right now, it kind of really doesn't mean a thing right now. So overall, thought this was an excellent promo. I also got to say that Taz has been doing such a great job of as a manager, really bringing out more in his talents, not just, overshadowing them, but actually making Starks and Cage come out as bigger stars. I really like what he is doing with them, and I'm interested to see where this is gonna go. So this could be really exciting. And I want to thank so much to Patel Ron 6. Thank you so much for sending in a super chat. Patel Ron is such a great guy. Thank you so much for all the support that you have given me and for also sending in this super chat. But now, for all of you here in the chat, what do you think about this whole segment? Did you think it was as wonderful as I did? Also, if you are watching the replay, please make sure to share your thoughts on everything that I'm saying on here on the show, what you guys thought about AEW, NXT, and so on. Again, you don't have to agree with me. I don't care. I want to talk about it, so let's do it. Okay. Wrestling Fandom says Taz is always a boss. Loved his promo as well as Ricky Starks cosplaying Rocky Maivia. Yeah, I was laughing at the turtleneck and the chain that he had, and I think he did have his pants tucked in, if I'm correct. I don't remember exactly, but yeah. Max Denenberg says, I love Ricky Starks, and it's annoying seeing him win AEW Dark jobber matches every week and not being used on TV. Thank you for reminding me. I wanted to say that obviously both Ricky Starks and Brian Cage are awesome talents. So yeah, I can agree with you. RG also says that Taz actually made some solid points. Dude, he for sure made some solid points there. And all right, I'm going through your guys' comments. Again, if I don't see your guys' comments, please send it in the form of a super chat. Those usually stand out easier to me, but I am going through these. All right, Bill Big D says, I thought Taz's promo was great. RG also says, I think Ricky Starks helped himself out with that rant at the end too. Dude, I thought he did great tonight. And Nails in New York says, wow, you're right. Nails in New York also says Taz is great when he's having fun on Tuesdays. Gerald Andrews says, I think they said the rankings depends on who you beat rather than how many wins you have. Most of Starks and Cage's wins come from Dark. I hope the FTW title becomes a legit title soon. Dude, they're going back and forth on those rankings. Back and forth, all right? I'm not a fan of the rankings. Moving on. Evan Wright, thank you so much for sending a super chat. He says, Denise, you're amazing. How great was Mox Eddie? We will get to that, but thank you so much, Evan Wright, for sending in a super chat. Curryhead, also thank you so much for sending one in. He says, the Taz segment was on point and more Team Taz. I agree with you. Thank you so much to both Evan and Curry for sending in a super chat. All right, so let's get into the next segment. Once again, we are going chronologically. So after this, we had Private Party versus the Young Bucks. This is the match that you would expect them to have. I do have to say that, okay, so before I get to that, Chris D'Azuba, thank you so much for sending a super chat. He says, Miro is a jobber. He's a Swiftie. Alameo, joking. Oh, bro. Chris D'Azuba, thank you for sending in a super chat. All right. So back to Private Party versus the Young Bucks. So I did think the Young Bucks looked a little bit slower in this match. Maybe it was because they were selling, the leg injury and all of that, but I did think they looked a little bit slower. Overall, this match was fine. It was good, but I do have some big buts to say is that there has never really been any major follow-up to Private Party. I feel that in order to really elevate them, they need multiple wins, a feud that actually means something, because I don't necessarily think that the fans have been given a reason to care about Private Party. I mean, even some sort of video package could really help us understand who these guys are. I think that they do need to develop them more in terms of really building that connection with the audience. Like, we like them because they're cool and they do fun moves, but what else? I do think there needs to be something added to Private Party, because since they last beat the Bucks, they're sort of still in the same position. Like, they haven't really moved up or, even moved down since beating the Bucks. They're sort of still in the exact same place. So it almost feels like even if Private Party were to get a win, it doesn't really mean anything because they've already done that. So I do think they need more for Private Party and really, really building in that connection with the fans and telling us who Private Party really is. The Bucks did win this match. FTR attacked the Bucks after. And here's my question to you all is, did this feel like an overkill having FTR come out again and beat up the Bucks? I get it. They're going into this, match at Full Gear. But did you think it was overkill? Let me know in the comments. Also, we then had Hangman and Kenny come out. And after this, I kind of have a feeling that Kenny Omega might be joining FTR. I have a feeling it's one of my predictions. So we'll see. I think some people feel that it might be Hangman Page, but I think it might be Kenny. But we'll get to that. What did you all think about Private Party, Young Bucks, and this whole thing? All right. I'm going to go through your guys' comments. And let's see. Josiah McDonald says, I think they were slower by design in that one. Matt Jackson's selling was really great. I think that he was selling it when he remembered it. Tonal says, I think using the Young Bucks this week was a mistake. Should have sold the ankle injury more. I know they needed to fill the Scorpio Sky hole, but should have found another way. Interesting. I can't necessarily say I disagree with that. Nails and NY says, I legit hate the stipulation of the Bucks not being able to challenge again. Me too. And I went on a rant about this last week. Nails in New York also, or NY, also says, it's taken away the who is better element for me. It's now what makes sense around that stipulation. If you get me, I get you 100%, Nails and NY. I was not a fan of the stipulation. I didn't like it when they did it with Cody, and I'm not a fan of it for this match either. And RG says, I think that Matt was the legal guy and they made an unnecessary tag at the end. The little things, it looks sloppy. D-Train Riotmaker says, Private Party has had more tag matches on Dynamite than Santana and Ortiz this year. Private Party are fun to watch, though. They are fun to watch, but again, we need something more. And Tonal says, definitely, in my opinion, should have not done Buck Party this week. Could have made that match the first title challengers as a tiebreaker for them. One win each prior to this week. Bill Big D says, not a fan of the Young Bucks, so I like when they get a beat down. All right, that's kind of funny. I like the Young Bucks. I'm a Young Buck fan. I always have been too. I first saw them when I would go to PWG and I was really excited. I was like, oh, they're so cool. And then I saw them at AWS and I was really excited about that as well. So I've kind of always been a Young Bucks fan. And all right, Let's see. I'm going through your guys' comments. All right. Jeremy says, I would love for Kenny, Hangman, and FTR to brutalize the Bucks and form a horseman-like faction on Saturday. Joseph Moore says, Kenny turns heel or we riot. Ooh, a lot going into this. Muhammad says, Denise, do you feel any hope for FTR versus Bucks as much as they had 1 year ago? Because honestly, I just feel it's a random tag team championship match on a pay-per-view. That was what I was going to say later on in this, is that I do think that for how much people were looking forward to this match, I do think that a lot of the anticipation has gone down. A lot of the reason being the storyline built around this match. So I will say that, I wasn't really looking forward to this match, and I think the storyline around it just kind of pushed me further away from that. But I hope it is a good match because I'm always here for good wrestling, and I'm always here to give things a second chance. Alrighty, everyone, let's move on. Where are we at? Alrighty, so much happened. Oh, yes. Okay, you know what? I have an opinion here. An opinion time. So we're noticing that a lot throughout today's show. They keep referring to Tony Khan as TK. Oh, God, I hate to be nitpicky, but I hate this. Oh, I hate this so much. I can't see Tony Khan as a TK. He is Tony Khan. I feel like they're trying to make him like more hip, more cool by calling him TK, but it feels like something very WWE-ish. And by the fact that in WWE, they're always pushing like, oh, the freak, the big dog. And now we're starting to get TK. Oh, I'm not a fan of this. I'm sorry, guys. It's just a silly thing that I'm not crazy about. But hey, there's bigger things to worry about. Moving on, as after this, we had the best part of the show and what I honestly think should have closed down AEW moving into Full Gear and would have made a bigger impact for an ending. And this was the Eddie Kingston, Jon Moxley segment. This was gold. This was fantastic. Matthew Makovsky says, boss time. Exactly. Instead, TK. All right. This was awesome, guys. Eddie Kingston, Jon Moxley was awesome. So they come out, they have a face-to-face, and dude, I can't even tell you everything that Kingston said, but the key lines that he had were basically that he had to become everything that he hated in order to get the belt from Jon Moxley. He gets in Moxley's face, and they're super, super close up. Like, you know, they're really like the tension is there. Like you can really feel it. He even basically tells him like, oh, like, you better kill me. You better get ready to kill me. Like this is real. Like no BS. They go back and forth, and Moxley did such a great job at hanging with Eddie Kingston in terms of promo-wise, but I will say this, though, Eddie Kingston knocked him out of the water. I think that when Moxley was delivering his promo, it still felt very, you know, like he was delivering a promo from a wrestler, but Eddie Kingston, it was more genuine, where like it felt real, and he even said that this is real. And I really do think that you feel that difference. And again, this is not taking anything away from Moxley, but this is just to show you that Eddie Kingston really is on another level when it comes to how he says things, what he says, and the the believability factor. Wow, I got tongue tied there. But he makes it believable. That's the thing, and that's what really works, and that's a gift that not a lot of people can do out there. This was really good. I loved everything that they did here, and I truly thought that they should have ended the show with this. What did you all think about Eddie Kingston and Moxley? All right, here we go. Nails in NY says, Eddie is never going to say I quit. I can't call this, and I love that I can't call this. I won't get into my predictions yet because that is in my next segment. And okay, Game Avro City says TK for the FTW title. Laughing emoji face. Bro, that's all I gotta say is bro. Josiah says completely agree. Ha ha ha. Wanted to emphasize that Kingston Moxley was one of the best segments I've seen in years, right up there with the greats like Flair and Dusty. It was definitely really good. Really good. I agree. It felt like you were watching something special. Joseph Moore says, very weird that the Cody and Gunn Club match ended the show. I get they wanted to end on that Fire Cody promo, but it was basically a dark match. Joseph Moore, my good friend, I will get into that because I have a lot to say about that. And Nails and NY also says, Eddie Mad King forever, chef's kiss. Tunol says, I don't know how Moxley just stood there when Eddie was literally nose to nose with him. Yeah, breathe it in, bro. Breathe it in. That's terrible. I don't know why I said that, guys. I have a weird sense of humor. All right, guys. Matthew says, no segment will ever be Jericho and MJF. In terms of a surprise element, in terms of something unexpected and very, very creative and unique, yeah, it won't beat that. But this segment was very, very different, though. I don't think you can compare the two. Eli says, not gonna lie, Mox Kingston segment had me tearing up a bit. Best part of the show, both knocked it out of the park. See, that is cool when something can really get you so invested that you bring out these emotions when you're watching, wrestling. Like, that's what you need, guys. Like, that's what really keeps people into becoming a fan. And so that's really cool that Eli had that experience. Matthew also says 6-star segment. All right, guys. Now let's get into, we still have so much more to talk about. Wow. Okay, how much time do we have? Oh, snap. All right, I gotta hurry, guys. All right, so here we go. After this, we had the Pac promo, and honestly, this was really just there for me. I wasn't really as impressed with the Pac promo. It was fine, but it wasn't anything different or anything that I haven't already seen before. Then we had Red Velvet with Brandy versus Nyla Rose. And so this match got, okay, so last week I went on a whole rant about the AEW women's division. I'm not going to do that today, but I am going to say that it is a big time shame that Hikaru Shida, who is the champion, has literally been practically non-existent on the show. She hasn't really been emphasized as a champion. I sent out a tweet that got very popular, and it was because I said that if I had just started watching AEW tonight, just tonight, let's say I was a new fan and I just started tonight, and I was watching the show, I would have never guessed that she was the champion. The champion out in the sidelines just watching the matches. You do not do that with your women's champion. You do not do that with any champion. It makes no sense. This really felt like they just needed to say, hey, Nyla Rose is getting a title match at Full Gear, so we need to have her in a match. This is what that was. And that kind of sucks in the sense of, there's really just, oh God, guys, I feel bad because I think that Shida, when somebody finds out they're going to be champion, like that must be very exciting. And then you're not necessarily getting the real opportunity to embrace that. That's very unfortunate. So it did seem like it very much feels like an afterthought. And based on what I'm seeing on Twitter and based on what I saw last week and what you guys thought about what I said last week, I think a lot of people kind of feel the same way about, this whole situation. All righty. Anybody else have any thoughts here? Tanol says Vicky was a great promo. Dude, Vicky is always on point. She's awesome. Jeremy says hashtag extend Denise time. Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I could probably go over just like a few minutes, but I don't want to get in trouble. Although I don't think I'd get in trouble. Will I get in trouble? I hope not. All right. Matthew says Shida needs her next challenger to be Britt Baker, and Baker needs to take that damn title. And Variety Vendor says, as much as people are talking about wanting New Japan to work with AEW, I rather Impact to work with AEW. They can definitely beef up the women's division. That was one of my predictions like last year. I seriously thought that AEW was going to buy out Impact Wrestling's contracts because I thought, oh my God, like there's so much talent that they can utilize there. I was wrong, obviously, but that was one of my previous predictions. And righty, let me see. Fernando Diaz says, I wish the AEW women's wrestlers were more featured. Yes, I agree with you. And Nails and NY says, It's always here is a short women's match is the worst spot on the card. While it's on screen, why not pay $50 for AEW heels? Okay, I didn't really understand the comment, but I don't necessarily think I would pay $50 for AEW heels. But that's just me. And yeah. All righty. Let's see. Let's move on to the main event because the main event was John Silver, Colt Cabana, number 10 versus the Gun Club, Billy and Austin, and Cody Rhodes. So as I briefly mentioned earlier, this match to me really didn't make sense as the main event for a go-home show into Full Gear. I thought that a better alternative to this match could have been the Dark Order against Darby, Cody, and Orange Cassidy because Cassidy is going to be facing Silver and Cody is going to be facing Darby. I thought that would have been a better alternative, and I thought that the Cody Rhodes promo at the end was awesome and would have made an even bigger impact had Darby Allin been in the ring with him, and this could have been a confrontational sort of thing. I definitely think it would have made more of an impact with that. Austin Gunn did nothing to stand out for me, in my opinion. I don't think he should have been in the main event of a go-home show, point blank. And I hate to say this, I don't want to sound like a negative Nancy, but Billy Gunn getting more airtime than Shida, the women's champion, in 2020 does not make sense. Let that sink in, everybody. Again, they could have had an alternative for this as the main event. So now, let's see what you guys are saying here. Everyone's making fun of me because I said Dark Odor. Dark Order. I'm talking too much, guys. I'm talking too much. I slipped on my wording here. And then Nathan Rodriguez is starting the hashtag join the Dark Odor. You know what, guys? It happens, all right? It happens. Now I'm terribly embarrassed. Harry M says, John Silver is so awesome. Best part of the match. Dude, John Silver is definitely getting over. And Gerald Andrew says, Austin Guns has Juice Robinson vibes to me. Whipped me in a good way. Killer promo from Cody Rhodes, though. All right, guys. So we need to get into the AEW Full Gear predictions. I have a couple of minutes in, so feel free to send in your oh, okay. Eli Schiff says, all of your critiques of the show make sense, but I really thought the show was a strong go-home show. Yeah. Dude, if you felt that way, by all means, feel it. You're enjoying it. That's the point. All right, guys. But let's get into the AEW Full Gear predictions. And let's start off with, I'm going to run through these as quickly as possible. So NWA Women's World Title match, Serena Deeb versus Allison Kay in the buy-in. This is a good opportunity for Allison Kay. I think that Allison Kay can come in and immediately become one of the best women on the roster. And there's really no reason as to why she shouldn't be winning this match. And I mean, I get it. She just left NWA, so maybe that's why she won't win this match. But I do think that she can become a major focus in the AEW women's division. Now let's move on to the main matches. We have Orange Cassidy versus John Silver. John Silver, as I mentioned, has gotten himself over tremendously. However, Orange Cassidy really needs a win badly, so I'm gonna pick Orange Cassidy on this one. Then they have Chris Jericho versus MJF. If MJF wins, he joins the Inner Circle. I've said this prediction before, but I will say it again for the sake of these predictions. MJF wins. Inner Circle betrays Chris Jericho. And my major question is, will Sammy Guevara lead the turn, or will he be the only one to stick by Jericho's side? We don't know, but I do definitely see MJF becoming the new leader of the Inner Circle. And then Hikaru Shida versus Nyla Rose for the AEW Women's Championship. Unfortunately, does it matter? Question mark. I think that all depends on the viewer. Does it matter to you? I personally would love for them to keep the belt on Shida and actually do something with it. But again, does it matter? Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara in the Elite Deletion match. This is going to be a cinematic match. Matt Hardy should win just to end this feud, and this should be a good match because, as we all know, Matt Hardy is really great in these types of matches, in these cinematic matches. So I am excited to see what they're going to do. I think AEW has been very creative with a lot of stuff that they bring out and put forth on the table. So I am excited for this Elite Deletion match. And Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston in an I Quit match for the AEW World Championship. I think Jon Moxley is winning, but it is going to be interesting to see how they make a guy like Eddie Kingston quit, because he is essentially a badass, and you can't make a badass quit in just like a random way. It's got to be creative. So I hope they do get creative with this finish. Also got to say that even though Eddie Kingston is a great promo, I do think that he is a little bit more limited in the ring, which is why I still see Jon Moxley keeping the title, because they can still do a whole lot more with him as champion. You can still have him, Moxley versus Kenny. We still want to see that. Moxley versus Hangman Page. We want to see that. And I can kind of go on and on. And I do think that Eddie Kingston can move after this, can move on to Pac. I think that would be a nice turnabout for him. And then FTR, Cash Wheeler, and Dax Harwood with Tully Blanchard versus the Young Bucks for the AEW Tag Team titles. If the Young Bucks lose, they will never challenge for the titles again. Not a fan of the stipulation. I really think they booked themselves into a corner with this stipulation, so I'm not a fan of it. Bucks obviously need to win, but again, for a so-called dream match, the excitement for this match has now been deflated, in my opinion. So I do think that this is going to be more of a story-based match instead of a fast-paced, lots of spots with the Young Bucks and all of that. I do think this is going to be more of a storytelling match. So, yeah. And then Cody versus Darby Allin for the AEW TNT Championship. I do think that Darby needs to win. The TNT bout should definitely be on a younger guy, because I do think that it should be seen more as a stepping stone, stepping stone until you make it onto that AEW World title picture. And I think that somebody like Darby Allin could definitely benefit from having the TNT title. However, because Cody Rhodes eliminated himself from that AEW World title picture, it kind of, there really isn't very many other options for him to win other championships. So part of me also thinks that maybe Cody Rhodes might retain, but I am going to go with Darby Allin on this one. And I also think that this is where maybe we could see Taz coming into the picture with this. So we'll see there. And lastly, which I think should be match of the night, it is Hangman Adam Page versus Kenny Omega in the AEW World Championship Eliminator Tournament final match, where the winner receives a future AEW World title match. And I definitely think the winner here is going to be Kenny Omega. He's back to the Kenny Omega that we want to see. He's got to get that star power back. This is the way to do so. I don't think that Hangman Page losing is necessarily going to affect him, because this is definitely Kenny Omega's time, and I do think that this will be match of the night. So there you go, guys. Those are my predictions for AEW Full Gear. If you are watching the replay of this, please make sure to let me know in the comments below what your AEW Full Gear predictions are. And I also want to take this time to remind you all, hold on a second. There you go. I want to remind you all that right after Full Gear, I will be live on the F4W Twitch channel talking about Full Gear. So once again, if you watch my show every week and you're like, oh, I want to know what Denise has to say about Full Gear, the place to definitely find that out is by watching the Twitch, the F4W Twitch channel. I will be live directly after Full Gear. But again, you guys can follow me on Twitter or on Instagram to make sure that you guys are updated and know exactly what time I'm going to be going live. Also, I do have a few more reminders for you. So if we have any international viewers right now watching this stream, I do want to let you guys know that on my Twitter, again, @ Denise Salcedo, I have a giveaway going on right now. Fight TV provided me with a code where you can watch Full Gear for free on Fight TV if you are an international viewer. So make sure to enter. All you have to do to enter is retweet that tweet, follow me, and follow Fight TV. Again, I only have one code, but you never know. It could be your lucky day. So make sure to go in there and enter that as well. Also, before I go, please do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You guys can find the link in the description box below, or just go to youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. I will have an interview going up pretty soon, so make sure you guys check that out as well. And as always, follow me on Twitter and on Instagram @ Denise Salcedo. And I will see you guys back here for Speak Now Pro Wrestling with Denise Salcedo next week. Thank you guys all so very much for joining me. Please tell people you love my show. Tweet about it. Let me know. And it would really, really make me happy. Also, give this video a like. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And leave a comment in the comment section below so that the video can rank even higher. Alrighty, everyone. Thank you guys so much. Love you all. And I hope you guys have a